Granblue Fantasy Relink is incredibly popular right now. I think much of this popularity will carry over into the full game, but this spike is largely due to the demo. It was trending on Twitter, the subreddit for the game doubled in size the day after the demo released, and this speaks to the power of a great demo. Most of the discussion has been around the characters. You know, which ones they like best, how fast they can rack up DPS, how some of the characters look, and so on. And I love discourse over character rosters. It's a lot of what we do on this channel if you've never been here before. So, naturally, I ran a poll. Actually, 2 polls. Okay, actually 1 poll, but it had 2 questions. But we'll save the second question for another video. I asked, which character do you think is the best character in the game based on the demo? I was kinda shocked at the results, at least some of them. We'll run a second poll after the game releases, but for now, I want to list out the character ranking from worst to best and briefly cover why each of the characters landed where they did. I'm Solace, this is Solace and Dread. We produce analytical content, reaction videos, and they're usually focused on Square Enix, Nintendo, and Capcom publications. A quick note, the characters could be rebalanced before the full release of the game, so this only speaks to the demo performance and is not meant to be an evergreen guide. This was just a fun experiment to gather people's thoughts. We surveyed somewhere around 135 people, so that's more than we asked for. Ranked dead last, Lancelot, with a paltry, 3%. I agree that he's not the best, but I didn't expect him to have so few votes. Lancelot is a fast-striking melee fighter that works by keeping constant offense and building up ice on his blades, then unleashing more powerful attacks and abilities. I'll say this, he is my least favorite character, and I didn't particularly like the way he plays, but I definitely don't think he's the worst. God bless those people that try to main him, because I pray for your hands. You gotta mash, you gotta just keep mashing buttons. It's not my favorite way to play a game. The character I actually thought was the worst and would rank the lowest was Granblue, who was ranked 10th. Granblue works by keeping up constant damage to build up and deliver devastating attacks. He also builds his gauge faster based on the timing of the attacks rather than mashing. I liked him a lot, probably because he's in a lot of ways the direct opposite of Lancelot. And that kind of playstyle definitely appealed to me more. And while I did like him a lot, I definitely think he's not an ideal candidate for top DPS, since you can't always keep DPS going and you have to build back up. Really though, I did like him and his design. I always liked those big, beefy, slow powerhouses in games. If anything, for the memes alone, right? With the exception of maybe Hulk in the Avengers game that came out on PS4, mechanics that require constant damage to keep going is never really effective in action RPGs. At least in my experience anyway. I mean, feel free to prove me wrong there. And just above Granblue was Gran. This didn't surprise me at all. He, or she, since you can change their gender in the full game, is the main character and is very much a jack of all trades. He's got attacks, heals, buffs, but he's very, very balanced. You know how it goes. A jack of all trades, but a master of none. I do enjoy how comfortable he feels, and it's likely that I'll play him for a large portion of the story, even when I don't need to. As much as I like him, the community considering him so low on the totem pole feels right. 8th on the list was Siegfried, being the long-haired, edgy boy that you need in every single anime-styled game. He works similarly to Granblue with heavy, timed attacks that build up his damage, and then he unleashes towards the end, working in abilities as he goes. And I will admit, I was not impressed by his playstyle either, which sucks, because I really wanted to like him when I saw him. You know, I'm a fan of that design and that trope in anime games and anime period. But I couldn't get on board when I played him. I expect him to be near the bottom of any list, so no shock here. Ranking 7th, Catalina. She is similar in feel to Gran in that she's a jack of all trades. You know, she's got some great heals, some buffs, And her freeze debuff is amazing to help other characters continue racking up damage. I also like her ability to give the group invincibility so they can tank through hard-hitting attacks or bloodlust or whatever. She's a utility character at best. And because of this, I understand why a lot of people said that she's the best character in the game. An argument can always be made for utility characters being the best, but usually they have to be outstanding in one stat or the other. I don't think that she's a top character though, and this placement feels safe. And ranked number 6, Rackham. Now, Rackham was probably my second favorite character in this game before we get the full roster. He too works by constantly putting up damage, but it's different. He gets his heat gauge up on his weapon and then relieves it with harder hitting attacks that charge up faster based on the amount of heat, and it's a continuous cycle. And he might be a bit squishy, but you know, he gets to fight from a safer distance since he uses a gun. I really liked Rackham, and you can kind of just turn your brain off and still perform, just trying to get the heat up on your gauge. I did notice that he suffers a bit on DPS compared to some of the others, just a bit, and this will inherently limit him from being the best character in the game, since he doesn't really have any utility. But I do think that he's great. Ranked 5th, EO. I think that's how you say it. And by the way, if I pronounce anybody's name wrong, I don't know. I'm new to this, okay? But I think you pronounce hers EO. I actually will enjoy playing her as well. She's very much the safe distance support and spellcaster of the group. I also love that she's like a little cannon, you know, she charges up big hard-hitting spells, and to me that's incredibly fun. I can see myself making use of her as my main support role character when I do online play as opposed to like Gran or Catalina, but we'll see. I am kind of shocked that she was so well liked and rated this highly, that people really thought that she was the best character in the game. But there are a lot of people that like playing casters, and she definitely scratches the itch. Also, the whole charging up concentrated attacks things feels way better to play than constantly mashing buttons like Lancelot. Again, God bless anybody that plans to main that guy. Ranked 4th, Narmaya, the baddie. The baddie with horns. She's great for the invested player. She's a bit more technical with her stance switching and building up butterflies and dealing them out in big damage. She's a bit trickier to use than some of the Unga Bunga characters, but I would probably believe anyone that sat me down and then read out their lengthy thesis on why she's actually the best character in the game and everyone else is an idiot. I personally don't think she's for me, as the particle effects from all the spells and stuff made it hard to see when I actually had a butterfly or how many I had. Also, I'm a terrible gamer, and I feel like capitalizing on her best rotation is probably out of scope for the amount of time that I'm willing to commit. That is the most honest thing that I could possibly say. But yeah, you can feel the potential with her. And ranked number 3, Yodara. Again, I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name. You know what? We're gonna call him Yoda, just because I'm insecure about how to pronounce his name. And he's about the same height. He is definitely a deserving contender for the top slot, and there's really not much question to it. As one person put in their survey, if he's in the group, he tends to get MVP at the end of the match. Although this person I was playing with happened to get MVP every single time, so this doesn't count. Yoda also seems to be able to push speed runs pretty easily because of the pure damage he pumps out. And yeah, he might lack utility compared to some of the other characters, but his damage is undeniable. He works in an interesting way, pumping out combos that incorporate a timed finisher that gets shorter with every pass that you do, increasing your DPS, and then he gets a buff on his attacks as he continues, and it starts speeding up and it goes nuts, and then there's big wind blades come out as he's attacking. It's awesome. And it's easy to see the appeal of this character too. Like Narmaya, he can easily be argued as the best character in the game just by how much he provides to the meter. Ranked 2nd, my waifu of this game so far, and my favorite to play, Zeta. She's so fun, and she's got the bobs on display, so that's a win. She's not only fun to play, but pumps out high DPS. Zeta's kit has multiple avenues to stay out of harm's way while doing damage. 2 ways to counter, good crowd control, a team attack buff, a special debuff that's specific to her. By the way, I stole this line directly from the survey, but I agreed with the take. And come on, man, look at this attack loop. That's just fun, man. She keeps it interesting without having to think too much. She's mine. I claim her. I'm glad everyone agreed to these terms. Zeta belongs to Solace. Some of you out there might not agree, but you're wrong. You know who you are. In all seriousness, I love her, but I don't know that I would personally call her the best overall, but she's got the fun factor on lock. And ranked first with over 30% of the vote was Charlotta. There was a lot of comments about her. Charlotta's combos are easy and still a lot of fun. She has everything in her kit: buffs, debuffs, counters on her power attack, and you name it. I understand the love because she was a blast to play with. I really don't think there's much doubt about her being a top tier character. I do wonder about the next 7 that come out on release. I don't know if anyone will dethrone her. I'll also say that while I enjoyed the hell out of her kit and knew instantly that she was top tier, she's not as fun as Zeta to play by a damn sight. Just so you know, we are going to cover a second poll after the game's been out for a little bit, so that way we can see if the results line up again. I'm very interested to see how it shakes out. And then we're going to do it after the game's been out for a really long time and see if people's opinions change once they start to finish playing the game. I think it's fun to get a tangible way to cover how people feel as the game ages. So subscribe if you want tangible numbers for future conversations. And if you enjoyed this video and want more Granblue content, please consider giving it a like. It really helps us out and it helps us gauge on what the audience seems to want. We'll be covering this game much more very soon. That's it from me. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. And long live the Turtle Kingdom.